What is it like to be on your first patrol? That's got to be shocking. Emotional intelligence, de-escalation, how to work with humans.
Hey man, just look at me. Put your eyes on me.
Right, calm down.
Breathe out, breathe in. Breathe out, breathe in. We're gonna figure this thing out together. You know, you gotta be able to shut it off, man. If you don't shut it off, it's gonna come back and bite you in the ass. I can still remember the first dead, not at a funeral, but the first dead body on a call that I saw, and I remember most of the other ones ever since. It's a normal part of policing throughout the country.
It's about holding space for other human beings. And I'm going to hold space for you, and just my presence alone is going to allow you to feel safe, to feel comfortable, and to know that, you know, I'm genuine, I'm looking you in the eye, I'm authentic.
You got to take charge right off the
100%.
bat. I'm in charge. You're not in charge anymore. But then you have to be wise enough to have it in your mind to be able to slowly but abruptly, if that makes sense, but get into a de-escalation aspect of things.
All right, so welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Mondo Show. And today's guest grew up fast, born in Virginia, raised across Rhode Island and upstate New York. He lost his father at 13, becoming the youngest of 6 kids and the only boy in a house that suddenly needed a man to step up. Law enforcement ran deep on his father's side of the family, and it wasn't long before he knew he'd carry on that torch. After a stint in building and remodeling, he became a police officer in upstate New York, serving 7 years before relocating to Northwest Florida for 8 more. 2 completely different roads, from Albany Police Department to Destin Police Department. 15 years total on the job, seeking police from 2 very different sides of the country. Since retiring from law enforcement, he's back in the trades, running Van Epps Remodeling and Repair, LLC. Today, he's here to talk about something he doesn't often get to say out loud. What it's really like inside a police department, the culture that shapes officers from day one, and what nobody on the outside sees. Please welcome Michael Van Epps to the Mondo Show.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome, sir. It's great to see you here. You're looking marvelous. You're looking shining. You're looking fit. All those great things. And tell us a little bit about yourself, my friend.
Well, you hit the nail on the head with introduction there. I'm respect is my number one, I guess, thing in life, you know, but from family all the way through to people that you don't care for in life, and which is also a big thing in law enforcement, of course, because, I mean, you respect, if you don't even respect I'll say it, with the mutts, the not so shining coins in life,
Sure.
You're not going to get respect in return.
Sure.
And respect is huge, because you're not going to get any information. Even if that person's not a suspect in the crime,
Right.
You're not going to get any information out of that person, whether it's, like I said, a mutt, or whether it's Cindy on the corner that lives with her husband and 3 kids and beautiful family. If you show up with almost with too authoritative of a role, kind of shuts people down. And then information gathering is huge, obviously, in a lot of walks of life, but certainly in law enforcement. And if you don't earn that respect right out of the gate, then you're kind of spinning wheels, and you're not gonna move through your investigation or your information gathering setup so quickly, because you get the brakes put on you a little bit.
100%.
So respect is probably my number one thing that I like to carry with me in life.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Like I said, it goes all the way back to my family, to my current family, my wife and my stepkids, and my friends, gym partners, all the way through to the people that I really don't care for, but I still put my best foot forward, and respect is king, basically.
100%. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And that's the beauty about being a human. It's emotional, it's messy, it's all those things, but ultimately we can respect one another. Even if we tend to disagree, even if we have a personality difference, we can still be respectful human beings and get along. I mean, that's kind of the goal here. I think none of us have this figured out. We're all just trying to do the best we can. I'm 52 and I haven't figured it out. So
I'm definitely not perfect in the respect category, but
sure, of course,
but it's obviously an important thing to me.
That's such a great insight, though, in terms of self-awareness, is that you realize that, okay, I'm not a perfect person. Right. There are some things that, I have my own toxic traits. I have my flaws, are all flawed, and I can go ahead and work on those. But most importantly, be able to identify
Big time.
my flaws and my toxic traits, and like, okay, I need to work on that. I need to work on this.
And then upon identifying it,
Yes.
having the strength and wherewithal to actually do something about that
100%.
identification and not just ride with it.
Yeah, that's such a great point too. Is like, being observant of it. With awareness comes choice. You can be aware of your toxic traits, your flaws, the fact that, hey, I'm not working out. Maybe perhaps I should take some action. Maybe I should actually do something and work out, and maybe my life would be a little bit better. And I think that's the litmus test for being an adult.
Sure.
Is like, okay, here's what I'm not good at. Here's what I need to work on, and that perpetual growth, right?
Sure.
It's like, okay, yeah, it's like this is what this is where I'm lacking. These are areas I need to improve upon, and I shall do that or not.
Right, and it's tiring sometimes, but you know what? You're not going to be all the person that you can be if you're just dragging your feet through life and not staying focused.
Yeah, 100%. So let's go to your childhood. Okay. So dad was a cop.
Dad was not a cop. Actually.
Oh, let's hear it.
Dad wanted to be a cop. All of his brothers were, and
family were cops.
He wanted to be a cop. He had an issue with his vision, and thankfully I didn't get that gene. But he had an issue with his vision, so he was shut out from law enforcement as a result of that. But still very close with his brothers, and I was as obviously being his son, and so law enforcement was surrounding us all the time, even though he personally wasn't. But we just live and breathe law enforcement growing up, and I guess it kind of goes with a lot of different occupations, I guess you could say. If dad's a doctor, maybe son's going to be around that profession, and go that route. And so, even though my dad wasn't, I still was saturated in that walk of life, and so
gotcha.
It was a strong interest of mine.
Gotcha. So, did you know right away that you were going to go into law enforcement? Was that always the kind of the elephant in the room? Is like, okay, is Michael going to go into law enforcement or not? Or
full transparency, when I was in high school, I just wanted to get out of high school. I wasn't interested in going to college at all, which in New York State, you have to have college in order to become a police officer. If you don't, then have to do that everywhere in the country.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
High school diplomas, was back when I got into law enforcement. So as much as I was interested in the profession, it was kind of like, do I really want to go into school again just to read? Is it that important to me? And initially it wasn't it was on the fence still. And so I went into the trades, plumbing and remodeling and building trades. Did that for a few years, and then finally, like, you know what? Prayed about it, thought about it, talked about it with my family and friends. I said, all right, I'm going to go to college. So my uncle at the time became kind of a father figure at that point in my life, and then I'm like, the whole financial thing. How am I going to swing this college? I'm not making $1 million. And so he gave me an outstanding offer, said, I'll pay for your college, books, the whole nine. You got to get a B average or better for every class that you don't. You owe me for the class and the books for that. Well, for that class. They said, and I'm not joking. I'm sticking to it. Okay. B's kind of tough. I was kind of a C and B student in high school. So a 3.0 is a little bit of a stretch maybe, but when your back's against the wall, you do what you got to do to survive. And I obtained that. I got 3.2 is what my pay was across the board. So I got out of it financially free in a way, and
good stuff.
Earned that diploma, that certificate, and started applying to agencies, and really wanted to be a New York State trooper, which is what my family was all involved in, and the money is ridiculously well compared to a lot of other agencies in the region, actually.
Interesting.
Or in highway tax states, so I guess they could do something with the money.
Yeah.
But ended up going into in order to get into the academy, you got to get hired, actually, except in municipalities. And so I went to work. I went to a municipal police department, and they sponsored me to go into the academy, that's the only way you can get in. You can't just, like down here in Florida, you could actually essentially put yourself through the police academy at the college, and then makes yourself look more attractive when you graduate. You still don't have a job in law enforcement,
Right. But you went
got
through it.
the credentials necessary
Sure.
to be it. So that's how it works here. It didn't work there. You had to have someone sponsor you. So an agency sponsored me, and
Does it still work like that today in New York?
I believe so. Yes.
That's so, I never knew that. That's
Yeah.
interesting that you had to be sponsored
Yeah.
just to become a
Absolutely.
New York State police
Right.
officer.
Yeah. And
Interesting.
but to be a police officer in New York State,
Sure.
the New York State Police will hire you. You don't need a sponsorship for the New York State Troopers. They just hire you, and they pay you $90,000 to go to the academy, which is kind of a nice little bump.
Yeah.
As far as the sponsorship goes, they basically say we're going to sponsor you to get into the academy, and then we're going to hire you upon your successful completion of the academy.
Mhm.
And so I went to work for them. Everything you learned in the police academy, it was okay. You know, it's nothing compared to just
The real world.
street experience.
I believe it. It's probably more on the job training because
I mean, that's the way in a lot of
Sure,
industries,
sure.
but certainly in law enforcement.
Well, I think in addition to that, there's been so much more thrown onto the police departments because of lack of, I would say, probably programs, public programs, mental
Absolutely.
health issues,
Huge,
challenges. So you guys are thrown to the wolves. I mean, police officers. I mean, I think I'll just state my own opinion here real quick, but I think the training is lacking,
Mhm.
without a doubt. The pay is lacking.
Big time.
And I think that the police officers, I think just in general, the police departments are struggling
They are.
to hire people,
They are.
right?
And there's not a lot of.
It's not a great job.
It's not.
It's not a great job.
Not
I mean,
very
let's just be
attractive.
honest,
It's
right?
not as
It's not.
attractive as it
Yeah,
once was.
you're going to deal with the public. I mean, think about this. You're dealing with the craziness of society today and the
Mhm.
public, and it's bananas out there.
Big time.
And so, how long is your training? So, when you went to the academy, tell us all about that. What is that? What do you learn? Yeah, go into all of that.
All right. The academy was a lot of physical training, a lot of PT, which is part of
Sure.
of it. But in my academy, I think they focus a little bit too much on the P. I mean, I'm in decent shape, so I didn't mind
Right.
getting beat up,
Shit
getting
who you are.
running, doing this and that. But so it wasn't a matter of that was too difficult, but they probably spent too much time on that, and they could have put some more time in some other areas that would be more applicable to the job on the street than just PT.
PT.
Right.
Like, for example, if you were to design a new program, how would you change it today?
We did a lot of defensive tactic work, but I would have attributed a lot more of the PT to the DT side of training.
And DT stands
Defensive tactics.
Okay, I see.
And because that's very, very useful. And I mean, you being physically fit is useful, obviously,
Right.
but knowing the tactics to get yourself out of a situation when it hits the fan, then to me that's a lot more valuable than just being able to run around the track 47 times.
Yeah, 20 push-ups. Yeah.
I mean, it was parts of it were cool.
Sure. Yeah. But that's the easy aspect, especially if you're in shape. If
Right.
you're in shape, bring it on.
Right,
I'm
right.
already in shape.
Right.
What am I? You're helping me. This is what I do. This is how I live my life. That's great for me. But in terms of the intellect and the law,
Mhm.
emotional intelligence, de-escalation,
Big time.
how to work with humans, and all of these different things, communication skills,
Real life scenario.
real life scenarios, putting the ego aside, trying to de-escalate
Mhm.
instead of escalate, and all those types of things. So go ahead and go into some more.
I'll just finish up on the PT
Sure,
thing
sure.
real quick because, like you were saying, if you're in shape, it's really not
Yeah,
a
it's
big
like
deal.
bring it.
But so me and two of my fellow cadets in the academy, we went out one weekend and somebody saw us out at one of the bars, and you weren't supposed to.
Oh, I see.
And I mean, we weren't acting irrational or
Sure,
anything, but
sure.
someone saw us, and someone said that they saw one of the guys flash a badge, which we didn't even have badges at the time, and so we're like, that didn't happen.
Yeah, it doesn't make
But
sense.
still, so for the remit, that was probably month 4 or 5 of an 8-month academy.
8 months long.
So the three of us had to run PT for the remainder
For
of
the
the
remainder, yeah.
which was kind of fun because it was like, who's going to do what?
Yeah.
All right, I'm doing push-ups, you're doing sit-ups,
Yeah.
you're doing squat thrusts, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But we were kind of, in hindsight, it was a little bit of a good thing because he knew that the director of the academy knew that we were in good shape.
Yeah.
He didn't just say,
Of course.
you 3 slobs, get up there and try to
Yeah.
do the best you can. And so it was a little bit of a way to go, guys, but at the same time, it made it look like we were getting punished.
For sure.
Which,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
big
but
deal.
yeah, it's kind of a good thing though to be out there on the spotlight saying, "Hey,
Right.
I'm in charge of PT." So that's
Right.
a good thing.
Yeah, we were kind of leaders,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
And we would orchestrate, different
Yeah.
activities aside from just regular push-ups, sit-ups, and things. And
Sure. A little bit of jujitsu.
no,
I'm surprised.
we boxed a lot.
Wow, I'm surprised that so the BJJ's not trained.
Not
There's
then
no-
anyway.
Not then. I
Not
wonder.
then. Probably now because it's
Right.
very applicable to
Sure,
profession,
sure.
but
Yeah.
not then. So me and this guy Steve, we were kind of the two of the most well, we're smart too, but most fit guys as
Sure.
well. And so we boxed, and everyone thought it was like the main event.
Yeah.
But
Mike
still-
Tyson versus Michael Spinks.
So
Yeah.
to this day, they nickname me Bobblehead.
Yeah.
So to this day, that's still an ongoing joke, and it's been
That's a good thing
20
though. For
20
boxing,
years.
that's
Yeah.
a good thing.
Yeah, it was good.
That's a good thing.
But something else I wanted to touch on because you mentioned
Sure.
was the de-escalation thing.
Yes.
That term, in and of itself, is super valuable in law enforcement because a lot of guys, and I was guilty of it too as a
Sure.
young, full of piss and vinegar, if you will, as they used to say.
Testosterone.
You want to get out. Command presence is important because you can't come on lollygag like, oh, hey, guys, settle down. You got to take charge right off the bat.
100%.
I'm in charge. You're not in charge anymore. But then you have to be wise enough to have it in your mind to be able to slowly but abruptly, if that makes sense, but get into a de-escalation aspect of things because otherwise, just because I'm here saying I'm going to take charge of this call, you being a suspect or you being not even a suspect but somebody that's involved, you're still ramped up from whatever's going on.
Right,
So it's not like I can just flick your switch and you're off.
Sure.
And so you've got to be able to take command presence, but at the same time roll it into a de-escalation aspect of, hey man, just look at me. You put your eyes on me.
Right. Calm down.
Breathe out, breathe in. Breathe out, breathe in. We're gonna figure this thing out together, Well, I don't want to go to jail. No one's going to jail right now. Just we're practicing breathing right now, okay?
Right.
And we're practicing putting your eyes in my eyes.
Yeah.
Ma'am, Miss,
Sure,
sir, whatever
sure,
the case
sure.
may be. And it might sound kind of silly, but that's something I used a lot was put your eyes on me and a breathing there.
I think it's great, bro.
I mean, no one ever taught me that. I tried it. I thought of it. I tried it, and it worked, and I used it throughout my whole career. But de-escalation is important because almost like respect, as I mentioned earlier.
Sure.
You're never going to get anywhere if everyone's all still ramped up and flying high. So you got to bring everyone down to a phase where everyone's thinking more clearly.
Right.
And now you can start to put the facts together and take all the information in, and by showing respect the whole time during the de-escalation phase.
Yeah.
But then you start your information gathering, and then you can sort out what's going on and decide if someone is going to jail or not, or to a mental health facility or the hospital or whatever the case may be.
Right. So let's walk down that de-escalation journey that you just walked us down. So was that something that is focused upon with police officer training, is the de-escalation tactic, or is that something that you took it upon yourself through your own life skills, through work experience, through life experience, that you realize, hey, I've got an individual that just went through a very traumatic situation. Their nervous system is jacked. Their sympathetic nervous system is going bananas. Their heart rate's up, the pupils are dilated, right? All these things are going on. You can tell this person's in some kind of stage of stress.
Impaired oftentimes.
Oh, and that's a great point too. Yeah. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, most Americans are medicated.
Nowadays,
the average American is on 4 prescription pills. 4 prescription pills. Every pill, and I'm not even talking about alcohol. I'm not even talking about the other drugs. I'm talking straight prescriptions that, and I know, and this is another interesting discussion, and maybe I'll just touch on that briefly, but I know a lot of people, even that are in leadership officer roles, that are on these pills, psychiatric pills, drinking alcohol. It's like, okay, well, what's, this is changing your personality, so, and then no, you got the average American that is, 74% of adult Americans are obese or overweight. 74%. That's 7 out of 10. So already you're in this gloomy kind of life. Blah, yeah. You're just blah. Things are so difficult here in America as it is, and then you throw in all these pills on top of that, and then caffeine, and then nicotine,
which is
drugs, and then alcohol, and then marijuana, and then this and that, and then that's most of the public.
Recipe for chaos.
It is, and you're seeing I would say, what's the proper term? America is struggling right now.
I agree.
In every institution, in every sector of society, it's happening. So,
well, Big Pharma's got it figured out.
Big Pharma's got it figured out, because your doctor will give you a pill that comes with 35 different side effects. He's going to go home happy because that doctor gets a passive income check every single month. But you're going to go home with 35 new side effects from that pill. Now you're still not happy. Now your nervous system is wrecked. Now you're eating horrible. Now you're throwing in alcohol. Now your wife or your husband's on your ass, and your kids. And then...
yeah, wonder why, right?
This is what's going on in society. So you're dealing with the public. How is that? Just as you're a new police officer, brand new, you go through your training, you get some de-escalation tactics. But what is it like to be on your first patrol? That's got to be shocking.
I'm going to get into that, but I'm going to answer your first question that you started out with. I think it was something to the effect of, did they teach you about de-escalation, or is that something that they may have, and it was a long time ago, but if they did, it wasn't very much. It's just something you kind of have to realize is a necessity in the profession, and then establish your own form of how you're going to de-escalate. And obviously, just like anything, some aspects are better, or some avenues are better than other to try to accomplish that goal. I liked my eyes and my breathing thing. That worked for me pretty well, but another guy might just some other tactic that he has. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but it's not a textbook thing that, okay, this is how you de-escalate.
Right. Do they talk about emotional intelligence and how to read people?
They do. They do.
Try to figure people out, and
they do, and especially from an impairment standpoint. I mean, the you mentioned the pupils and the tongue, the mouth, the fingernails, the eyes, the smells, the odors, the jittery, saying the same thing over again 10 times in a minute, which some people do anyway, but so you don't
nervous.
It's a matter of putting together a bunch of different aspects, and then say, okay, well, this guy brings me to another point, which I know I'm bouncing around a little bit, but that makes me think that picking up on different indicators. I was a DUI instructor for the state of Florida, and so I was very, very well rehearsed and very, very proficient in DUI arrests and processings, and that's where the indicators come into play, because obviously you could stop someone and smell alcohol, alcoholic beverage, not alcohol, because alcohol goes to smell, and okay, that doesn't mean they're drunk. Okay, they're slurring their speech. Maybe they have a speech impediment or something that you don't know this individual. You're just talking to them for the first time. Eyes are glassy.
Right.
Fumbling with their papers. A lot of people are nervous. When you're stopped by, even me sometimes.
I get it. I got pulled over recently, and I was nervous as heck. It's like, where's my phone? I'm recording this.
But so it's putting together a multitude of different indicators to determine if okay, is this going to potentially spin into some haywire because of all these indicators that are present? This person's high or drunk or whatever the case may be, or mental health.
Right.
But so a lot of it is reading people like you mentioned, and deciding, okay, and you always got to be ready. Never let your guard down, because
Yeah, but I can't
something
imagine
could
that.
turn on you in a heartbeat.
I couldn't imagine. That's. I'm getting goosebumps just
You
thinking
could
about
have
it.
a
I know.
68-year-old,
Yeah.
70-year-old woman, and you think, oh, this lady, she's harmless. I
Right.
mean, it could turn on you in a heartbeat.
Right. Right.
Scratch you. I mean, if she had a weapon, of course you don't want that. But it's
Sure.
just even if you confirm she didn't have weapons via pat search or whatever the case may be, or she's not wearing something that could host a weapon, doesn't mean she can't harm you still. And so you always got to be on your toes, and always keep your distance. Always keep yourself bladed, really, so you can take whatever action which is necessary. But it's still important, but it's the whole de-escalation thing comes back into play, that if you're properly doing that, you're going to bring that person. Doesn't mean they couldn't turn around in a second, but you got to bring them down to a level playing field before you can really start to work much on that specific case that you're on. But yeah, indicators is important, because
So let's go into this. So what is the primary thing? So you have 8 months of training, roughly, right?
correct.
What do they focus on? What is the focus of that 8 months?
Okay.
What is it? We talk about PT, but what's the rest of it? Is it law?
There's in New York State, which is where I attended the academy.
Mm-hmm.
It's the penal law, the VTL, vehicle and traffic law, and then they have infractions and ordinances for your specific
City,
locale,
right?
And but so they go through a lot of the penal law and VTL, and you got to obviously know that by the like the back of your hand. But then again, you don't, because that's why you get a thick penal law book.
Yeah.
And you got to know what is a crime and what is
Right.
what is a misdemeanor, what's a felony, what's a violation. But you don't need to know all the specifics of that specific law when you hit the street. You just got to know that it's one of those things.
Right.
And with that, you can detain someone at that point. And then Florida has a warrantless arrest. New York didn't have it. New York, if you committed a crime, you can go to jail, and then let the judicial system figure that out. And in Florida, there's certain crimes which they're not coming to the top of my brain right now, but you have to actually witness it.
Interesting.
As an officer, not
wow.
respond to a burglary where the guy's gone already, and oh, I saw it was Tom 3 doors down.
Right.
Well, you go talk to Tom 3 doors down. He's like, I've been in my house all night.
Have no idea what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't go, oh, well, Susie said she saw you and it was confirmed, so turn around, you're going to jail. You would have to witness something like that in order to make
of
that
course
arrest.
It's just an accusation.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you committed the crime.
But not saying in New York that you would do that would just do that anyway, but there's that's the difference between the states as far as the law. And Florida doesn't have a penal law. Florida just has state statutes, which essentially are penal laws, but just called a different term.
Sure.
But yeah, Florida, I was in the Capital District in New York working, and it was good. A lot of everything from one extreme to from cat stuck in the tree, assisting the firemen, to unattended deaths, to murder, to drug arrests, all the way through from A to Z, and then busy, bouncing around. In the Capital District, it's a highly populated area, and
of course,
there's a lot going on as a result of that. Coming down to Florida, I was assigned to Destin, was my patrol zone, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I want to get into that. I know there's a big difference between New York and Florida, and I know you have some opinions about it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And let's go into that. Let's get a little vulnerable.
I'll tell a brief story of when I was in field training when I came to Florida. Well, first of all, I didn't have to go to the academy again in Florida because I already had the standards, but you have to do a crossover course, which is 40 hours long at a college here that offers that. And you just go through, use of force,
Right.
things of that nature.
It's kind of like a refresher.
Right. And then you go and you sit and take the state exam and you pass that, then you got the same credentials as an academy here. I came to work in Florida and I was on my first field training mission with assigned to FTO, and we roll up in a subdivision. There's a kid up on a skateboard up on the sign.
And FTO is field training officer?
Field training officer.
Okay, go ahead.
And I said, hey man, get the hell off of there. What are you doing? Slaps me and shit. We ask people to do things here. We don't tell people. What?
Oh. So he was doing what again?
He had a skateboard. He was up on top of this big entry sign to a subdivision. And obviously just being a kid, but
sure.
So I wasn't getting out of hand. I was like, get the hell off there. We ask people to do things. I'm like, how far does that get you, ma'am? And, oh, well, then I didn't say that, of course, but I'm field trainer, but I'm then taking my brain. You're not going to get anywhere. Again, that reverts back a little bit to the respect thing, where you're not going to, and you respect even this kid on the skateboard.
Sure.
Hey man, get the hell off of there. Not, you better get off there before I take you to jail. You piece of crap little kid.
Yeah.
But because you never know when you're going to maybe need that kid.
Of course.
A week down the road, you're working a burglary in that same subdivision, and he's there. Is he going to be tight-lipped to talk to you if you treated him like a little douche?
Right.
Or is you treated him decent? You're gonna be, hey man, this might help you. I saw this black truck with a red racing stripe on the side here. Sure. Late at night, you would never get that information if you didn't show a little bit of respect on that individual.
Yeah, I think it's important to build rapport with the community in all aspects.
Sure.
It's you are in the public spotlight. Right. The police officers are in the public spotlight. Everything you're doing is being watched, tracked.
Especially the technology. Too.
Yes, I mean, and especially by citizens that, hey, of course, law-abiding citizens, we want our cops to be law-abiding citizens too. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Right? It's and respect and honesty and community and communication is a two-way street.
Absolutely.
And, as just like you and I, we are from different worlds, military and police, and right away we had ultimate respect for each other.
For sure.
It's just like right off the bat. It's just like, I respect you for who you are and what you've done, and I don't know anything about you, but you seem like a great guy. So,
right.
That's the thing. It's just like, just be a nice, kind person, and you're right. You're going to need, the citizens potentially in the future. So with your change from New York to Florida to Destin, is it fair to say that it was kind of a culture shock?
Big time.
Okay.
Very, very much so.
Can go into that just a little bit?
Well, it's kind of a getting hit, not just from a law enforcement standpoint, but a social standpoint. I mean, I came from where I was in New York with a lot of family, a lot of friends.
Sure.
And I met my wife on a cruise, and so I was moving here as a result because she lives here. And so when you compound the social side and the employment side and the profession side, it's very, very much a culture shock, is trying to apply what you've learned already in law enforcement to law enforcement here, which it's completely different run administratively. And at the same time, you feel like you're a fish out of water because the society is much. I said Destin's fast. It was fast because it's busy, because there's not understaffed, and so you're clearing a call.
I see.
What we always say: how's the screen look? Because your MCT, your computer in your car, is loaded with all the calls. Wow. So you be clearing a call, you go immediately on your way to another call, and then you're ready to another call.
I see.
So that's kind of what's the screen look like, Jeff?
I see.
Now we got 3 pending, but no big deal. You got time to go to the bathroom. Something as mandatory as that, but you learn to hold it because
Sure. So big culture shock from New York to Destin. And one thing that you mentioned, and thank you for that, it's like I wanted to get into this aspect of things, is the humanness aspect
Mhm.
of being a police officer. There is, just like being in the military, you know, you have veterans, you know, you're dealing with 20 years of stress, constant go. There is no slowing down.
Right.
You're going for 20 years. So fast forward, guy like me, retire. That's hard to unwind.
Mhm.
That's hard.
That's all you know.
That's all I know. It's hard for this mind here to slow down and to say, hey, you're okay. Slow down now. You can relax. You can do X, Y, Z. So what is it like for the police officers? Because that's an aspect I don't think that's talked enough about the stress from the profession, the anxiety, the, you know, post-traumatic stress. I have a friend who was a police officer, former, you know, retired, multiple divorces, you know, challenges. He's talked to me about his, you know, his time as being a police officer as well, and the challenges of it. So, what can you share with the public to help us understand what you guys go through on a day-to-day basis?
Well, then the first thing it makes me think of is the ability to leave work at work and home life at home. Is if you're unable to do that, you're going to have marital problems, you're going to have parenting problems, and so on and so forth. But something you need. I was taught that from some elder officers up in New York. I said, you got to be able to shut it off, man. If you don't shut it off, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass.
That's a great point.
So,
do you think some people struggle to turn it off?
Definitely,
Right?
definitely. That's you're one of your buddies that you mentioned. That's probably I'm not a psychologist, but that's probably one of his issues was not.
Well, that psychology is a scam too, by the way. So we can go into that. There's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, that's a scam as well.
Yeah, we don't have enough time for that.
Yeah, we don't have enough time for that one. But go ahead.
But yeah, so the being able the ability to be able to shut it off and not. I mean, of course, you go and you tell stories about this is what I went through today, and you know, as part of a not de-escalating, but part of a venting maybe aspect of just letting the pressure out a little bit when you get home, but
sure,
to certain degrees, because you can't come home all hard charging and expect your spouse to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it, because they don't get it because they're not doing what you're going through. But seeing the dead bodies that you see on a regular, that's something that I've always sworn I wouldn't let me become desensitized, but I definitely have.
I think it's almost natural that you have to, for self-preservation,
right?
For self-mental preservation.
But there's just, I can still remember the first dead, not at a funeral, but the first dead body on a call that I saw, and I remember most of the other ones ever since. It's a normal part of policing throughout the country, probably the world too. But I always probably the second or third death case that I was on is when I really hit and said, man, this is going to be a regular part of this job, so you better get used to it, but don't get so used to it that you have no emotion anymore, because that's going to filter into other parts of your life where it's going to affect you negatively, because your family's going to be like, what the heck? Right. You know, what's going on? You don't even have any feelings anymore.
Sure.
And I don't want to be that person, didn't want to be that person. And for the most part, I was able to fight it off. But like I said, it's like you said, it's a portion of it's just natural. And so it's going to bleed over. But yeah, I mean, unattended deaths, murders, car crashes, motorcycle crashes, plane crashes.
Oh my gosh.
It's just,
I couldn't imagine, brother. I don't think
body parts.
I don't think it's talked enough about what you guys go through. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
No,
I mean, I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. I mean, I have, respect for police officers and what they go through on a day-to-day basis. And I could not imagine what you guys see on an annual basis, and things that you just have to bury. And of course, as men, you know, I'm 52, you're 49, right? Right. You know, so Gen X, right? We bury our emotions.
Very much.
We just keep pushing forward. I got to pay the bills, got to provide, got to protect, I got to cover, got to keep going, guys. And, you know, eventually, I think for some people, they can be okay with that. They can keep going, they can keep pressing, and for some others, not so much.
It's eating away. Yeah.
It's eating them at them. You can tell it's sucking their soul over the time. So the question I would ask is, now that we know we've talked about, the mental challenges of being a police officer and the stress, anxiety, post-traumatic, all the things that you guys see, do you feel that the police officers, I know it's going to vary from department, but do you feel like that is being talked about more and more about the mental health aspect of things, of trying to give you guys, maybe, some kind of support system. One thing that's popular in men, it's just in the veteran community, it's becoming more and more popular, is we're starting to do veteran community get-togethers.
Okay.
So men can be with men. Let's go to a campfire. Let's talk about some of the things that, the vets have been through and in their way, right? Just to be together, with men, to be with men, to talk about things, share emotions, share feelings, share stories. And, and men need other men for situations like this. Of course, women are great too. And we love our women as well. But, men are primarily police officers. They're primarily in the military as well. I forget the numbers. I think it's 80% or something like that for the men. But in terms of the military, but men need men community.
Sure.
So it's just women offer a different aspect of things. And sometimes, we just want to talk to guys. We just sometimes we just want to hang out with our buds and like, hey man, let's go talk, let's go have a couple beers, let's just go and let me vent for you for a little bit. So it's
and they're gonna probably be able to grasp it much better.
Yeah, 100%. Because they're aware of it, what the police officers go through, the retired police officers. So is there any type of communities that are trying to stand up to help you guys with the challenges of being a police officer every day?
No, I've been gone for a few years, so it's some things could have popped up more so recently than I'm aware of. But first thing that comes to mind is at my last stage, we had a chaplain service, and
beautiful,
excellent guy. I mean, he was very, very knowledgeable, very smart, very consoling. He was there, a guy, but he was not just a chaplain. He would talk to you as a guy, not
as a friend.
Yeah, not as a holy man, but he would, but as a come down to you and speak to you man to man, if you will, like we were just referencing. So that was an important service that the agency offered, not just for us, but for people that just suffered a loss in their family. He would oftentimes in the middle of the night. So he was the guy was aces. He was real good, and I talked to him a lot, not necessarily because of any grievance aspect that I was going through, but just because he was a good dude.
Yeah.
And
you respected him.
And
he saw what he was about.
And it helped. Yeah. Even if I didn't directly talk to him about a specific thing that was troubling me, it's still just having a good conversation. Yeah. Helped in regard to that. I'm sure that, in my opinion, I don't know if this is factual, that mental health is increasingly multiplying each year that we go by in this world. And so I would have to say there's probably more programs in place nowadays than there was 6 or 8 years ago, but which is important. I think that's good. Instead of just automatically throwing somebody on prescription meds like we spoke of, talk it out, man. Go talk to somebody.
You gotta talk to somebody. And and it's about holding space for other human beings. Like I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna be quiet, and I'm gonna hold space for you, and just my presence alone is going to allow you to feel safe, to feel comfortable, and to know that, I'm genuine, I'm looking you in the eye, I'm authentic, I'm not fake, I'm trying to, to show you love and be...
Nothing you can't tell me.
Yeah, exactly. It's empathetic to you and your situation, and being of service to other human beings, which is exactly why, I wanted to do this podcast, is to have this discussion about the challenges of, the mental health challenges for police officers and, just challenges of men in general. Suicide rates for men are out the gazoo. Right now, for men under the age of 30, suicide rates have increased by 2020, 40%. That's what's going on right now. And again, some of the stuff that we talked about, society's fragmenting, right? Everyone's at each other's throat, men versus women, this religion versus this religion, and this team versus this team, and everybody's at war. And here we are. And it's just like, okay, what can we do to try to have a human communication and conversation and try to build some bridges instead of burning them? Is I think here in America, we burned enough,
For sure.
and it's time, and politics aside, what's going on in society, it is what it is. But, the reality is that our situation here and as Americans is that, we're all in this together. This ain't, and America's a mess right now. It ain't getting any better. So, we got to start having some conversations, and sometimes those are tough conversations.
And to continue on that wave a little bit, it makes me think, for the most part, you have people that just hate law enforcement or whatever. Sure. Even if they're decent about cops, as soon as you hear cop, or it's always, oh, I'm sure they gave you a ticket, or I'm sure you arrested him.
Yeah.
But for the most part, civilians are in, well, we're civilian too, but the community that you serve is very open arm. You're out and about, you're at a restaurant or wherever. Hey, I don't like being treated special. So if someone oftentimes, let me buy your meal.
Sure.
And I would respectfully, I try to decline that. Listen, that means the world to me. I appreciate the respect that you're showing for me, and the where your heart is at and where your brain is at. That means a lot to me. But it's just something that I don't want to be viewed at that's anybody did anything special for me, because I'm really not doing anything special for you, even though maybe sometimes it may seem that way because I helped you in whatever law enforcement way that I could, but that's my job, my career, I would like to say, because job is a little bit not good as in the law enforcement world, because you live it. You don't just do code Monday or go for your 8-hour tour or 12-hour tour and go home and it's okay, paycheck please. I mean, it's a huge part of your life.
It's your identity,
big time.
You're right. It's who you are. I mean, it's your life for 20 some years. You're living. It's no different than being a veteran.
Right.
You live and die the military, and then once you get out, you're like, oh boy, this is difficult. Oh my gosh. So going back to the police officers and the mental health challenges, and then your time in Destin, and just how things were so different in from New York to Destin. Go into, perhaps a little things that maybe the good, the bad, and the ugly of that whole situation. What you saw that was good, maybe that could be improved, or maybe perhaps, they need some work in this area. I mean, what can you share with us from that perspective?
Something that was important to me, and this may bleed across to other professions as well, but it's definitely important in law enforcement is morale. And so,
Sure.
we would have I remember a specific case. We had a new sergeant, and he was smart. He pulled all of us together, all of us aside on our own, one-on-one. What can I do to make this shift operate better or more or smoother? I said, morale, man. I said, if somebody screws up, there needs to be the consequence for that.
Sure.
But if somebody does a good job, make sure that they get an attaboy for that. You pull them aside, hey man, a slap on the shoulder. Way to go. Like the way that you handled this because of this aspect for that, or this, or whatever the good part of it was. Because you walk away feeling good. Sure, and your supervisor, that's your boss, your inline boss, he's proud of the way you handle it. And that makes you want to work even harder.
Of course.
And more efficiently and more effectively. So I said, in a word, sir, morale. Because, again, it's important everywhere, but it's definitely important in law enforcement world. You're going to get so much more out of even the lackadaisical guy that's just over there sitting in his car, twiddling his thumbs, watching a movie on his phone.
Yeah.
You think he's running radar, but he's watching the next
That's what they're doing on the side of the road. Now I know.
Particularly on off-duty details. That's
yeah.
And I'm sure somebody does it on patrol. I don't know. But anyway, you're going to get more out of that person. And that person's going to feel better as a result. So as far as, if you have half a heart, you want that person to strive with, and do better. So morale is important to me. I like with my last shift that I was a member of, some more than others, but for the most part, we're a family. and we looked out for each other.
Great.
And we knew people's pros and cons. We knew what he was a little bit better at, what she was a little bit better at, and you play off of that. You know how they're going to handle, and now you start to read, you start to know that person, and you know how they're going to respond to an incident, even if it's,
I see.
okay, there's a bank alarm. You look on the map, you see Stacy, whatever her name is down the street on the east side. She's probably going to come down from the east side and approach. And she, because she knows me, she knows that I'm already thinking about that. And so I'm going to come in from the northwest corner on the back street in through the other parking lot of the deli, so that I can have a more strategic approach.
Right.
But I don't even need to say that to her or say that to him, because they already know. And then they can see me on the map, but it's that couple of seconds of your mind that you don't have to go, oh man, I wonder who's going to back me up on this call, or I wonder if how they're going to perform, or what angle they're going to take mentally or physically. And there's a lot of cohesiveness, and you become very close, and you can almost play off each other. And
sure.
And I want to take a second and mention a good friend of mine, very close friend of mine, Colin Corain was his name. You mentioned suicide. He probably one of the happiest, nicest, happiest, just best guys in the world. Do anything for you. Great cop, excellent cop. What made me think of that was not just the suicide thing, but he was so jestful a lot of times. That was his form of de-escalation. Was he would try to crack a couple of jokes.
That was his way of diffusing.
Right. And he was good
comedy.
He was good at it, because he had a certain tone in his voice, and a certain look to it, and a twinkle in his eye that worked perfect for him, where it wouldn't work for me at all.
Yeah.
But a few years back, he took his life, and that was obviously super tragic, and nobody saw it coming, because he was again the happiest guy in the world. But that bleeds into a lot of the other things we've already talked about: mental health and de-escalation, and leaving work at work, and talking and having a support network, being the chaplain or your
church,
pastor,
religion, friends, whatever your community is.
Right. Yeah. I would encourage anybody to even if you think you got it all together, because you're alpha male. Right. Go talk.
Right.
Or talk, because that could be your life, and not just your life. That could everyone that loves you's life. Because if something happens to you, I've always said suicide is selfish, because you don't care about the people that you're leaving behind. And that would be me calling Cohen selfish, and I don't want to do that, just because he was close to me. But at the same time, just talk, and for admins that are out there, have a support network if you don't already have one. It's detrimental to the well-being of the officer, and then you're the admins in the business to take care of the citizens and the tourists a lot in this area. Well, if you want to do that, if that guy's not at 100% because he doesn't have a good support network, he's not going to be 100% on patrol either, and interacting with the people that you are providing law enforcement services for. So it just goes all the way down the road. So it's super important.
It's got to be so challenging to be in a patrol car, to live that life, to be around your team. You build this team. They come in, people come in from different places. You know them first year, a couple years. Now you've been working together 5 years, 6 years. You get to know them very well, intimately know them. You know their strengths, their weaknesses. And then someone in the team is going through stuff unknown to you guys.
Right.
Takes his life. And then I'm assuming you're expected to go right back to work.
Right. You have no choice. I guess if you wanted to take leave because you felt that affected by it, then you, I'm sure you could, but
but you just bury it,
right?
And you move on,
and tuck it in your back pocket.
After a week, he's forgotten,
correct?
To
some extent,
and then the department moves on. Yeah, it's so heartbreaking. I can't imagine. I just can't imagine what you guys go through on a day-to-day basis. And I know not every single day is crime. And, I think I looked up the data. I think, I don't know if it's correct or not, but they said like I don't know what the proper term is, but incidents where a police officer's life may be at risk it's pretty low. I think it was like 1%, less than 1%.
Okay.
But, I mean, who knows what the true data
Right.
is. But nevertheless, again, you're dealing with the public, and you don't know what you're dealing with. You don't know what you're getting from call to call, car to car, person to person. And just the stress alone, I'm thinking of walking into like my car. Like if you're on patrol, you come up to my car and it's 12 at night. You don't know who I am.
Right.
You don't know I mean, so you're carrying this weight on you, I feel, for that entire time that you're a police officer, because it's just, you don't know what to expect.
Not to go against you.
No, go ahead.
I wouldn't.
You're the police officer. You know better than I do.
I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't say it's for me personally anyway. I wouldn't say it's a weight, but I would say that you almost don't want to know, because when you think you know, that's a form of complacency.
Sure.
And then you already think you got to figure it out. And so then now you're going to, okay, this is how I'm going to do this, because I already know it. I already know it. This is a textbook traffic stop.
Right.
So you almost don't want to know, because you want to keep yourself guessing. That keeps you, for me, that kept me on my toes. And so that I'm always looking for that, what's going to happen next, where if I get comfortable, then comfortable and complacency means dead.
And then, yeah, so let's peel that back a little bit. And this is where I was going to, is like, okay, so you're in fight and flight.
Mm-hmm.
Fair?
Sure.
Yeah. The whole time on patrol.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I don't know, what, 12 hours out of your day.
12 hours.
Your nervous system is completely rattled, because you have to be at the tip of the spear.
Right.
Right? You got to be on your game. So my thoughts is that your senses are up. You're paying attention to what's going on. All the 5 senses are up. And that's where I mean kind of like by the weight.
Okay.
The nervous system is rattled all day. Fair. And then, you throw in all the stimulants that we talked about. Not for, the drugs from the police officer, but, let's talk about, caffeine, nicotine.
A lot of caffeine.
All right. And, perhaps alcohol at night, and, whatever prescription pills people are on, etc. So you throw that mixture in there as well. And it's just like, ooh. And you just have this, I guess I would feel, okay, like towards the end of my career for the military, I had this little sense of exhaustion.
Okay.
That's kind of what, just like,
right.
Just need to.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
I guess on a day-by-day basis, you get burnout, I guess is a potential word.
Yeah.
For me, the times where you weren't, right, when you're back at the station, you're doing paperwork, which secretary with a badge is basically a cop.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that. I forgot about all that aspect of it. Yeah, I forgot about it. Yeah.
And then with the body cams, you got to upload your body cam footage for that day every day, and that takes, well, back when I was there, that takes forever. And if you don't do that
cloud,
if you forget about it, well, that was coming for years. When we had, we're getting a new system. As soon as you pull in the parking lot, it automatically starts uploading. You don't even have to do it. But I never saw that.
Gotcha.
God willing, it's there for him today, but I can't attest to that.
Sure.
But so I guess the for lack of a better term, the downtime of paperwork, going to the bathroom. I want to say eating, but you got to keep your head on a swivel if you're out at a restaurant eating too, because you don't know who's around.
Yeah.
And you go to certain places, you don't go to other places because, the kitchen staff was probably somebody that got hooked up not long ago, and you don't want something special in your food.
That's that Michael Jordan effect. You know the story? What was it, Game 5 or game him the pizza, and he was all sick. Yeah,
Exactly.
You're right. You're going in. I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about that. You're right, because now you're going in a police uniform, and let's just be honest. I think the support for blue has dwindled. Or it's dwindling.
I think, and I might be wrong because I'm not a stat guy, but I think it fluctuates. I think it'll seem like it's back the blue is super high for the
Yeah.
last year or two, and then all of a sudden, poof, it's going the other
Yeah.
direction. You're like, hey, what happened? I don't know.
So
What's going on?
they killed an airman in the Fort Walton Beach. Shot him. That'll have some impact on community.
Very much so.
When you shoot an airman,
I recall that.
Yeah, when you shoot an airman who just came to his door from wasn't even, you killed him.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good.
I don't know. I don't know all the specifics of the case, but I know of it in general, and I believe I read something recently that officer, that deputy, I'm not even sure what agency it was, but it's getting criminally charged.
He is. Yeah, he is. He's getting criminally charged, and they're trying to give it a defense. I forget the defense, but yeah, he's going through it right now. Something was just released not too long ago on it, but he is being held accountable. So, but again, going back to the food thing, didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's
Didn't even. That's a valid point. Had not even considered that. So that's interesting.
Very prevalent when you're
Gotcha.
Something that just came to mind, and I'll speak about it because I see, and it's probably still enacted in the agency I was working for, but I see it around here and around wherever I'm traveling. Doesn't even need to be in Florida, but you'll see, several cruisers or patrol cars at a restaurant. When you go in there and there's 5 or 6 guys,
7 of them, yeah. They just have.
We weren't allowed. We had 2 cars max, which were single occupied patrol vehicles. So there's two deputies or 2 officers, and sometimes we didn't like that because we wanted somebody else to join us, but it wasn't good. But I see where administration was coming from, because it's not a good look when you got so many patrol cars and so many guys sitting there feeding their face at one spot.
Yeah.
Sometimes for a long time, and it's just like,
I just saw that
the public doesn't like that. I don't particularly.
I just saw that recently here in Navarre, where I was at Culver's, or I was going to go to Culver's and get some food, and there was 7 cop cars. I thought something was going on, but they were just eating.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that's.
Yeah. I'm guessing 7. I mean, I didn't count them all, but I was just like, wow, that's a lot. I was like, well, it's the same thing. I was like, well, that's kind of unusual. Maybe something's happened. Maybe I shouldn't go into Culver's. Maybe maybe I shouldn't go in there.
Yeah, right.
But no, they were just eating.
Huh.
And I was just like,
Yeah, that's so. Again, when I was active on patrol, sometimes we didn't like the rules so much, but
sure, of course,
I completely understand it.
Yeah.
And another thing that is it's important. It's not just a pet peeve or not just something to talk about, but some of my supervisors would, I'm going to back up, 239, whatever his unit number was. So you going back, okay, you get there, you see that the call settled down. It's not what it could have been. And so get Tenny, get back in service.
Oh, sorry, I see.
Don't just hang out there and then, or sometimes 2 or 3 people, if depending on how busy the call screen is, are available. So that, hey, I want to go see, or the call sounds cool. So I
want to go see what's going on.
Check this one out.
Yeah.
Guilty.
Yeah, of course.
But you go there, you check it out. All right, it's cool, but I better get back on the road before Sergeant's like, what the hell are you doing? I see that a lot too, not just the stacked up at a restaurant, but a lot of guys. You'll see 3 or 4 patrol vehicles on a traffic stop,
a 98,
and the guy's already, which is okay. That's not a bad thing initially, but once you get there and the guy's already hooked up, he's in the car.
What's the point?
Get back in service. There's stuff to do, and when I was a younger cop, I probably was guilty of that too, and so I'm not saying, oh, shame on them kind of thing, but it's human nature to some extent. But I guess kudos to the supervisors that are proactive on that and saying, hey, because like I would be on a call, for instance, in my latter years, and somebody would be doing that, hanging out on one of my calls, and they get, hey, get out of there. They call me first. You'll settle there. Yeah, everything's good.
Right. Yeah.
Tell Joe Bo to get the heck out of there. He doesn't need me saying,
right.
Hey, man.
Sure.
Sarge wants you out of here.
Sure.
Oh man,
Yeah.
it's just getting good now.
Yeah. Well, that's got to be interesting too for being a young guy and hanging out with like a
Sure.
seasoned veteran like you. You know, that would be cool because they wouldn't learn from you. You know, and there are such interesting cases, and you're just like, oh, I want to hang out with the veteran here.
That brings me to a very valid point in my opinion. It never really officially grabbed hold in my career, but I was an FTO, a field training officer in New York. In here in Florida, I was not. They wanted me to be many times. I created this role of a liaison between field training and the patrol officer, because I remember being in field training. You know, you're on pins and needles. You don't want to, because you're getting the eval of your progress every day and every week and every month and so on, and you don't want, there's a lot of questions you have, a lot of things that you're uncertain about that you don't want to ask your FTO because you're afraid that you're going to get looked at.
I see. Right.
Negatively, or you ought to know that by now, or you know, haven't you been paying attention, kind of thing. And so I was the guy that was very approachable. I would come back into the office and to the point where, and so obviously if something was detrimental or important that the field training officer knows, I would relay that message to him. It wasn't like I was trying to be a hiccup in the system.
Right.
But I felt like I was more approachable, and I would answer those questions, and then I would say, hey man, you can ask me anything. Nothing's too stupid.
Sure.
Even an FDO says that to their trainee, you can ask me anything. It's still, you're in an official spot, where me, I'm a sworn officer, but I'm much more approachable, especially when you feel the camaraderie and the fact that I'm there to help. And I'll tell them outright, hey man, tell me anything, but it's my duty to make sure that your trainer knows, especially if it's something very important.
Right.
And there was probably very, very little I ever had to relay to the FTO as a result of something super serious that they needed to know. I would just give them a general synopsis of, at the end of, hey man, I talked to Tim and
trainee Tim.
Yeah, and trainee Tim, and he had a couple of concerns with A, B, and C, and so I clarified A, B, and C, and
Good.
I feel that from my standpoint, not being his FDO, you are, that he's got a good grasp on that now, and not saying you're not approachable, Ron.
Right. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
But,
I mean, that's the key with training, right? It's the training environment is supposed to be just that. It's supposed to be a place where you can ask questions and make mistakes.
Right.
That's the purpose of training. It's like, hey, let's make some mistakes so we can do this right when it really counts, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's
because now's the time to screw up.
Yeah, now is the time to ask questions. Right. Now is the time to go ahead and screw up. But I think that's a testament to your personality and being open-minded and being, at least saying, hey, I'm learning just like you. Let me help you out here. I can, be open with you and let you learn from my experience and teach you a little bit. And I think that has a lot to do with just people feeling comfortable with you and being able to ask questions. I think that's extremely important in that environment.
And I had when I also on the field training though, a guy that's a really good friend of mine to this day. I was struggling, particularly geographically in Destin, just because I don't know the place from a hole in the wall, and very busy in the summer, bouncing like crazy, and GPS was around but not super prevalent. And this guy Nolan, I mean, he really took me under his wing, and hey man, you obviously you're street smart, your officer safety is huge. You got all that down. I talked to Sarge, and he said you struggled in a couple of these areas based on mostly geographics, but a little bit of the procedure from, again, it almost, the street smarts and the common sense and the applicability coming from New York was extremely helpful, but it was almost a hindrance of procedurally what took place there to here, because I would automatically go, okay, I'm going to do that, and it's not correct. So that's where I had some difficulties acclimating or adjusting to
Right.
the new agency here from there.
Unlearning what you had
Right.
learned. Right.
Well said. And so Nolan assisted me with that, and then I would be erroneous if I didn't acknowledge him in that regard, because he was important.
Good stuff.
And but yeah, he knew of my whole liaison thing that I formed after the fact. That was years down the road, but I'm not pompous. I'm not patting myself on the back for it, but I think it was super important because many, many, many trainees I assisted, and I don't know. Yeah, they would eventually have gotten it because they would have talked to somebody, or eventually got up enough nerve or strength to approach the field training officer about it. But it was easier, and it was more efficient, I think, with me being there. Almost to the point where I talked to a couple of my patrol captain was awesome, super guy, and I talked to him about it a couple of times. They're like making that like a position, because it was so valuable in my eyes, and he saw the applicability of it, but it just his hands are kind of tied to
funding.
It's
always funding. Yeah, that's a great insight though, is that you realize that there's a gap. There's a gap in our mission here, right? And so if there's a gap, it's like, okay, let's you being a proactive alpha male, right? It's like, hey, we get shit done. We fix things, right? That's what we do. That's what masculine men do. Like, hey, there's a gap here. Let's fix this. And if not, then why? Give me the why and why we're not going to fix that. Then I'll be quiet. But at least I see a gap. There's a gap in this mission, and let's fill it.
Right.
I mean, that's just
how we're gonna make this more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and because and the thing is, it's a whole picture concept. But again, it goes back to something you said earlier, where when you have the admin folks and they're up. I'll relate this to the military. Our admin folks were at the headquarters. They're up at a whole different base. They think they know what's going on. And you're right.
Exactly.
They think they know what's going on at the squadron level. They have no idea what's going on. Go into that a little bit, and how you started to kind of see that, from the Destin perspective.
Right. Well, you got obviously your sergeant, your lieutenant, your captain, and they have corporals now. I was actually a corporal before I got out, and you just they were well informed because they're out. Even the captain wasn't on patrol, but he was at the local office in that district, and so he was aware. And I don't want to say that if the problem was him relaying the information to headquarters, but probably some of it had to do with the dollar sign. So even if they were aware of some things going on there, we just don't have the money.
Can't do anything about it anyway. So it's like, well, we just won't look at it.
One thing that was important to me, and it didn't go over very well, was our radios, with a lot of high condos and things in Destin.
Oh, I see. Line of sight communication problems.
Very poor portable radio abilities, and so communication's important everywhere, but it's super important in law enforcement, because if you're in the middle of something, you need to get that information out. If you can't, that's a huge officer safety issue.
Right. In the Air Force, we had the saying, no comm, no bomb.
Ooh, I like that.
You have to have comm. Without comm, you have nothing.
Right.
It's like the lone survivor, but he's on at that mountaintop. Right. No comms.
True.
That's support. That's where it's at.
So I brought that up, many times to try to get something changed about that. But I'm sure it was a financial thing. But then I would roll back to, and sometimes I probably overspoke, and it is what it is. But you can't put a dollar sign on my life. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that's why I admire. I know you and I don't know each other very well. That's one of the reasons why I admire you. You're not afraid to say what needs to be said.
If it's right.
If it's right, yeah. And I admire that, brother. I mean, because there's not a lot of people like that.
You're right, I think, but it also is your presentation is extremely important. That's obvious, but
we could always work on that.
yeah, you can say
we'll work on that.
what you're saying, right?
Yeah, but presentation, like even tone, like what you mentioned earlier, like, hey, I'm gonna soften my tone versus like, hey, Michael, this is what we're gonna be doing.
This
like,
is how it's
yeah, it's like that, all that stuff matters, right?
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
So that along with presentation, along with factual information, is important to presentation of that.
So comms were a challenge with Destin, and just procedures in general.
So comms were a challenge, but like you said, that headquarters not seemingly not understanding what patrol's going through.
Right. Which is normal.
This is back several years now. I believe it was Orange County, Florida, because I did some research on this whole thing. It's important.
Sure.
That sheriff mandated his staff, his headquarters staff, majors, captains, undersheriff, so on, had to do, I believe it was 2 patrol shifts a month.
Good.
I mean, that's rocket science. Now you're in the ballpark of knowing what's going on, but you're at a desk nowhere near what everyone else is doing.
I see.
Now I'm going to make sure you know fine tune what you already think you know. And now we're either going to fine tune it or we're going to flip it the other way around because you don't have any idea what's going on. And now you're going to have, hands on it. So you're going to know. I thought that policy that he implemented was huge. And I wish, to some degree, every agency in the country would do that because
100%.
I mean, it's a no-brainer.
100%. Yeah.
And if I was a major that put a lot of years in, I'd be like, this sucks. I already know what's going on, but at the same time, and it bleeds back to the morale thing. Because if you see your major coming out for 2, now hey, this guy, I'm important enough. What I'm experiencing that I think he's not understanding from his position is that it's important enough that he's out here to get that information direct and not through a chain of command.
Yes, sir.
And so that's it. So I feel better about myself now if I'm that guy that sees
100%. 100%.
So it's a win-win-win, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think there's any better way to do it. I don't know of any other system would be more efficient than that, because it's like you have no choice. You're going to work the shift. You're going to deal with what the police officer, what our patrol officers have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. I mean, it's twice a month, but still, they're still in the mix. They're still seeing, oh, you know what? Michael's right. The fucking comms aren't working. The high-rise buildings, there's no line of sight. Maybe we need to get some new technology.
Get a lot of research.
Right. Maybe we need to change some procedures. And I'm a firm believer in Michael Jordan. I never asked my teammates to do anything that I didn't do. I wouldn't do. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And I think that applies to all areas of life. I have seen in military installations, I have seen officers that have been standing at the gate checking IDs. Why? Because their people were at the gate checking IDs, right? And that's this guy.
Lead by example.
That's you lead by example. Like, I know we're already short-manned. I know that my people are already doing X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to ask my people to go do, a gate guard stand when they're already doing, 10 hours. I can do that.
Right.
I can do that for 2 hours and still make this meeting and still do blah, 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 because I'm an officer and I get paid more and this is my responsibility.
Right.
This is what I'm supposed to do. And then just like what you said, now people see, holy shit, Captain Canales is out here checking IDs. And then you have people coming into base like, holy shit, there's a captain sitting right here checking IDs and they're saluting me instead of me saluting them, right? I mean, that's how you should lead. But you're seeing less and less of that. You're seeing more of the HQ, and they are, it's almost like the dictators,
right,
up at the White Castle, and they're just doing boop, 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 boop. Meanwhile, the worker, right, and then meanwhile, the worker bees, which is you and I, we're sitting here stressed to the max, not getting X, Y, Z done. You've given me so many tasks that I can't even meet the requirements because I don't have the manpower to meet the requirements. What do you want, boss?
Best I can do, man.
Best I can do, right? I mean, that's kind of where we're at, I feel, in America in general, because of the economy, because states and counties and the federal government are broke and bankrupt. And so here we are.
I agree with that. The economy being a huge burden on that. It's almost one thing I've always loved is be a leader, not a boss.
Yeah.
It's seeming like you said, it seems like the leader thing is going away, and the boss thing is taken over. But that hasn't worked, and it's never going to work.
Yeah.
And it's almost not in a related area necessarily to the boss leader thing, but I almost sense a decline, a deterioration of character, like individuals.
Agreed. Across the nation.
In our society.
Across the nation, bro.
And it's just like,
yep.
What?
We are looking at, we can go down this rabbit hole real quick, where we're looking at the demise of America from within.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Sad but true.
It's sad, but it's true. And again, go into the financial hat. I'll put on my financial hat. Fiat currency usually lasts about 80 years.
Okay.
And then it goes bust. Guess what's happening?
Right.
We're there. We're there. And so now you're seeing morals and values are declining. People have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to have an apartment, these young kids now, because they have printed trillions of dollars with no respect to any budget whatsoever. No left or right, doesn't matter. We can throw politics aside. It's all fake. That's just my own opinion. This is where I'm at.
Perfect.
I've given up on politics. Left, right, blue, red, doesn't matter. So you take a look at it from an economic perspective, from a historical perspective, the last 500 years, every fiat currency has gone bankrupt at about the 80 to 100 year point.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. So our global reserve status starts back in 1940 something roughly. Where are we at?
Cha-ching.
Right. So and it's not like, and this is not anything astronomical. This is history repeating. History works in cycles. Fiat currency works in cycles. Okay. Every fiat currency in the history of mankind has gone bankrupt. Every single one. So what is the term of fiat currency? The term of fiat currency means that the currency that the nation holds no longer holds any true representation based on gold. So in other words, that they have decoupled gold from the dollar.
Perfect.
So in other words, in the past, in the 1970s, to print money, you had to have so much gold. We were already bankrupt in the 70s. So they said, no more gold standard. We're just going to print money. The printing money has helped in some degrees, some areas, because if you grew up like you did, we can invest in stocks. We're in our 20s and 30s, and you could be doing pretty well right now.
Right.
These young kids
don't have that.
They're done. I don't blame these kids one bit for being upset with what's going on in this country. America is a scam. And, that's just my own personal opinion. I served this country 22 years. I understand our economic situation. I understand monetary policy pretty well. And America is a scam. They are bleeding the middle class to continue to print trillions of dollars at our expense.
Right.
So that's why your taxes and your insurance and your two steaks at Walmart are $35, and by next year it'll be $50. And then the year after that it's going to keep going. It's going to keep going until eventually, and that's where we're at.
Okay.
Yeah, and I hope I'm wrong.
No, wrong. I hope you are too.
I hope I'm wrong, brother. I really hope I'm wrong. But this is what so. You just take a look around what's going on. Morals and values have declined. The education system is fraudulent. These kids are lost. They can barely read. Pick your sector. In America, it's broken.
Right.
Insurance, broken.
Yeah.
Medical, health, broken. Big pharma, food, FDA, it's poison. Who do you trust? Who do you trust? Like, Tim Dillon went on a rant last week. It's like, I'm with him. Like, this is all fake. This is all just buffoonery.
Song and dance.
All song and dance. In the meantime, they're just printing and printing and printing. And eventually, one day, it's going to bust. And then we'll be here still holding the bag. It'll be the American people holding the bag, which is what's going on now. So
it's underway, right?
Yeah, it's already ongoing. So But so sorry for that
Yeah, that's cool.
economic diatribe, but yeah, it's just
like
where
it's applicable because
Yeah,
if you're not getting much law enforcement
yeah, exactly.
coverage because if everyone
Right.
complains about the money.
And in the military, it's no different. They're purging left and right. They've cut down. Police departments cutting down.
Mhm.
You know, pick your I saw a city that took 40 minutes for them to respond to a call. 40 minutes. You know, that's what's going on. And the police officers are overwhelmed, they're overstressed, no proper training, blah blah blah, all the things we already talked about. You know, so it's like, where are we going?
Right.
You know, that's where
Sad.
we're headed here in America. It's a difficult time.
Right.
So
I agree.
So going back to you and try to end this on a more positive note, right? So everything that you've learned, your life experience, your time in New York, your time in Destin, the challenges of just the stress, anxiety, stress, etc. What would you give to the public to say, hey, give cops a break, give police officers a break for this? And you know, what can the public do? Two questions: what can the public do to better help and serve you guys?
Mhm.
But also, what can the police department and the culture of it do to help the community?
Well, from the public side, I understand the difficulty of them wrapping their head around some things because there's bad seeds everywhere in life, and yeah, you go through a very crucial screening process in order to become a law enforcement officer, and so hopefully you got that seed out of there and they didn't get through, but it's a matter of fact. It happens, and so it's easier for me to say than for some people to grasp and understand. But you know, the old saying is the public judges all police officers how they view one police officer they had a negative interaction with. But so I guess for me, I would say to the public, use your common sense. You know that there's bad seeds everywhere. They shouldn't be in law enforcement. I get it, but sometimes shit happens.
Right.
And don't take that perspective. Have an objectively reasonable mind and be able to say, you know what, this was not the way I thought it was going to go, but I'm not going to hang my hat on this. I'm going to be open-minded, and I'm going to say 99.999% of law enforcement is there for my best interest and to help me to get through whatever incident that I'm going through right now, whether it's death or whether it's a traffic ticket, you know, from one level of severity to another. From the other angle, as far as what police could do is, I guess, spend more time thinking about the fact that a lot of the public that we serve has that angle, has that opinion. And so if you're struggling to sharpen your character up, or the way that you carry yourself, your presentation, your tone, your
everything,
your appearance, shine on your shoes, the pleats on your pants, it's all dog and pony. Well, a lot of it is, but you don't know how that's going to influence someone who's on the fence about whether they're going to take you seriously or they're going to be like, oh, you're probably one of those dickhead cops that's just out to make me pay money for a traffic ticket. So take the angle from an officer, take the angle of where the public maybe even assume that they already do have that objective, even if they might not, and then carry yourself accordingly so that you can overcome, and then you're not doing yourself any harm, because if that person doesn't have that objective, they're already just a level-headed everyday citizen. What would you do? You treated them even better.
Yeah, it's a win-win. Yeah, it's a win-win. It's like, hey, I just did a great job. I made a friend.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
And then that reverts again back to next time you need information out of somebody.
Right.
You're 10 houses down.
Right.
Somebody comes out, they don't want any part of it, but you know what? I did see something. Right. Or I have seen something.
Sure.
Or I know somebody that was talking about something similar. And oftentimes it's just that little piece of information that probably wouldn't mean the thing in the world that actually ends up solving cases. And so it's important to not only to be a good human, to be a good law enforcement officer, to carry yourself accordingly, but it's going to come back in your favor potentially, because you're going to end up working through your cases a lot better, which makes
Sure.
not only you look better to your administration, but makes you feel better intrinsically because you did a good job.
Right.
Now you're
Absolutely.
like, all right, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
way to go, Mike.
Yeah, and it feels good when you get those attaboys.
Absolutely.
And it feels good from the community. Like,
Yep.
like you people, like, I'm sure you appreciate it when a
For sure.
community person came and said, hey, man, thank you for doing what you're doing. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. It's keeping me safe, blah, blah, all that
Which
good
happens
stuff.
a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So it's good. Yeah, it's such a difficult time in America, as we discussed. You know, in every sector of society, it's just difficult. And you know, I think that the challenges of America are just starting. I think we are in deep transition, and I think that America we are going to see some things in the next few years that are totally unexpected, and I think that we're in for a lot of growth, but also pain and suffering.
It certainly. I hope you're wrong again. Like
Yeah.
but it certainly rings true. So
Yeah.
I'd have to concur with you. I hope you're wrong.
Yeah, me too. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you being here, man. And yeah, it's always good just to have a good conversation with,
Sure.
you know, a late conversation, a little bit of coffee, and you know, just talk. And,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just easy.
Life
peasy.
is real. So
Yeah. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks. Yeah.